On tonight's thrilling episode, watch a man play with his wood a lot for a long time.
Right, Project Weihrauch, HW95K. Stock. I'm going to have to refinish it. Tried steaming dents out, didn't work. It's covered in dents. The more I look at it, the more there are. So I've put some filler on and I'm going to sand it and refinish it, stain it different, just see how we go really. Awful stud, with any luck, will fill out, and well, I'm just going to give it a go. That's all I can say. Going to give it a go. Let the refinishing commence.
I'm using a palm sander, very low wattage so it won't heat up the wood too much. It's got a very soft foam base on it, the hook and loop type. Very fine piece of sandpaper attached to it. You keep it moving and it won't cause any flat spots, cause any sort of issues with the shaping of it. Just keep moving, long sweeps. Don't stay in one area too long. Don't be tempted to push down and try and ram out the finish. No, keep it moving. It's a slow process. It's going to annoy your neighbours, but it's worth it.
Well, everything's covered in a fine layer of dust, and here we have it. One very blonde HW95K stock. Before anybody gets angsty, never belonged to Winston Churchill. Lawrence of Arabia, never touched it. I don't think anybody of any sort of real merit ever had their hands on it. So I think I can do what I want with it, and I'm going to, basically. If only to erase all traces of whoever it was who fitted that Weihrauch spring to it, because let's face it, that wasn't a good move. Yeah, so next move, wipe it down with a bit of good old methylated spirit, which is the finest drink in the world. Only kidding, don't drink it. Get all the dust off, and then I'm going to try out some dyes. Right, well, apologies, lost a bit of footage there. So what I did, wiped over the stock with this American walnut finish. Wasn't that chuffed with the way it looks. It might look okay on the camera, but it doesn't look that great in the flesh. So I've gone over it with a Jacobean dark oak wood dye. And well, yeah, that's hell of a difference. So let's do this side too. Tip a bit out, let it soak into your rag, pat it about. You don't want to go whacking the stuff right on straight away, because unfortunately if you do that you'll end up with a dark patch that's, well, totally different to the rest of it. Then, moving quickly, wipe. And well, there we go. Try not to get this on your skin, because it will dye your skin. And yeah, it looks a bit weird, as you can see. That'll probably last about a week, if not longer. Pumice helps. Some of that gardener's scrub, that sort of thing, often gets rid of it. Well, a bit anyway, makes it a bit less obvious, but people will see it and think you're weird, but hey, everybody's weird. We all have a kink we identify as, don't we? For me, it's playing about with wood. Read into that as you will. Right, there we go. Let that dry, and then varnish of choice. I'm thinking about a sort of satin varnish over the top of this. Now when it's dried, some of it will actually sort of rub off and it won't look quite so dark, especially once the varnish is on there. So yeah, it's well, let's face it, it's distinctive. I certainly will, I'll know it's mine in a crowd. If you're wondering why there's one of the inserts in there on one side, not the other, that side was protruding, so I sanded it flat. And it's stuck in there, whereas the other one fell out. Quality control somewhere, didn't work. Now I guess everybody's wanting to know, what tuning kit did I go for? Well, not what you all might think, I'll be honest. I decided that I wouldn't go for one of the big names. I'd go my own way. Because, well, it's my gun. I can make my own mistakes. And if it isn't a mistake, then I've gone my own way. I can hold my head up high. If I've made a mistake, well, we all need to learn, and at least everybody can then see what a mistake looks like. Yeah, that's going to look pretty damn good. Happy with that. Right, so I left the stain to dry overnight, and this is what I've come into. It looks alright. Yeah. Finish wise, been thinking varnish, maybe not. I'm thinking oil. Yeah, I'm going to oil this stock. If I was doing it again, I'd have worked out some way of getting in here and getting all the stain out of the checkering. I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to see what it looks like when it's all done. I mean, it's distinctive, you know, it's interesting, let's face it. Well, let's just see what happens. I mean, you never know, it might fade once the oil's on there. It might sort of tone in with the rest of it. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I know, people are going to criticise. Haters going to hate. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what it looks like. If needs be, I'll just refinish it again. Decisions. Pure tung oil. Antique oil. Which actually does look antique. Mind you, so does the tongue. It's toughy. I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to go for the tung oil. I'm going to do first, I'm just going to wipe over the surface just to get the excess dye off, because otherwise that's going to interfere with the oil. Actually not that much coming off at all, so it's really soaked in there. Slightly irritating, the filler there where that awful stud was is rather showing. The filler promised that it would accept wood dye and hasn't, so yep, very annoying. There's really not a lot coming off of that at all. The squelching sound is my gloves on the stock, that's not me farting. Well, maybe it is. You'll never know. There we go. Ooh, there's some nice grains showing through now. Yeah. See, the reason why I went for this finish, I was looking at one of my Lien fields and I thought, how am I going to replicate that finish on an air gun? And then I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to give it a go. Give it a go. That's all you can do in life really, isn't it? Give it a go. If it doesn't work, try something else, but at least try. Well, yeah, I mean that really soaked in there well. There's hardly anything on there at all. In fact, I'm just going to use this cloth straight away for the oil. Now remember, with these oils, linseed oil, any of them, the cloth, if it's cotton, or well, to be honest, I do it with any cloth, you've got to dispose of it safely because they can auto-ignite. The last thing you want to do is screw it up, chuck it in your workshop bin, and it's catch fire. Houses have burnt down because of oil on cloths, and the cloth is auto-ignited. And whoever it was didn't actually know what you had to do, and they just threw it in their bin, all scrunched up, and it caught fire. And yeah, it's quite frightening actually. You look into it. You Google house fires from linseed oil, you'd be amazed how many fires happen because of linseed oil and all these oils. See, look, now you put the oil on, look at the dye starting to come off. Amazing. It's actually quite dangerous. It does say about it on the instructions, but I mean, who reads instructions? So the way I dispose of the cloths, and this is not a tutorial, so I accept no liability. The way I do it, I soak them in water for about a week after I've used them. Just leave them outside, soaking in water, and then I'll dispose of the cloth. And sometimes I'll dispose of it through burning it. Other times it goes in the bin if I'm confident it's wet enough and it's not going to present any risk. But do not just get your rag, screw it up and chuck it in your bin. Especially if you're going to be putting paper, wood, anything flammable in your bin, or if your bin's plastic, bins next to wallpaper, anything flammable, just be careful. Dispose of it safely. Again, yes, this is YouTube, where allegedly health and safety doesn't apply, but I care about my subscribers. I'll be honest with you, when I sit, well, I got all emotional then. When I go through YouTube Studio and I check on the subscriber count and a subscriber has dropped off, I feel that. That hurts. And yeah, I don't want to lose any subscribers through any accidents. I care. I care about people watching, I care about people enjoying what they watch, and I care about people not getting injured through trying to replicate anything that I do. Simple as that. You can call me a wally, call me overly sentimental, call me what you want. But it's the case. It is the truth. So please be careful. This is starting to look pretty damn good. I hope that the camera is picking it up, because yeah, honestly, this is looking good. This is giving exactly the look I wanted. And look at the grain there in that beech. Really nice. The reason why I've taken that rag away is so that it doesn't get saturated in tung oil either. It doesn't present a fire hazard, because I'm quite attached to my workshop. Don't really want it to burn down, funnily enough. Right, sure you don't want to watch me keep wiping this piece of wood, so join me later. Now what I like to do with tung oil is get it to the point where after you've wiped it and left it for about a minute, the wood stays shiny, because otherwise it's just still absorbing it, soaking it straight the way in. Then leave it for 15 minutes to dry. Colder weather might take a bit longer, but yeah, at least 15 minutes to dry. Then you want to wipe it and make sure you get all the residue off, because otherwise, if you leave it any longer than that, and if you let that residue get sticky, for one, really hard job to get rid of that sticky. For two, it's not going to absorb subsequent coats of tung oil, because you need to do at least 3 coats and you need to leave it about 24 hours in between each application. Okay, it's quite time consuming, probably slapping some varnish on would have been a quicker solution, but that wasn't the look I was going for. Right, here I am, a bit later than advertised, but hopefully it's dried. Getting gloved up. And over. It's always the sound you don't want to hear at the doctors, isn't it? When they put the gloves on and then when they do the... You know you're in for it. It's a problem when you get over 40. You start sort of losing interest in the rest of your body and they start getting really concerned about your bum. It's quite scary really. You go there and you say my arm hurts and the next thing you know the glove comes out. Well, that happens to everyone else, right? Doesn't it? Anyone? I need some support here, please. Reassurance maybe. I just caught it in time. I got distracted while I was varnishing some planters and out here a bit later than the quarter of an hour. More like an hour, but then again it is about 4 degrees C outside. In the workshop, still warm from yesterday's fire. It's a toasty... hold on. ...5 degrees Celsius. Because that's much warmer than the 4 that it is outside. Feels warmer. So there you go, at 5 degrees C, tongue oil takes an hour to dry. Good news, good information. There we go. A nice wipe off, get all that excess off. And then leave it for 24 hours. Do another coat. Slow process, but worth it. Always worth it. Join me in 24 hours time. And in tonight's thrilling instalment, watch me rub more oil into my wood. This is antique oil for antique wood, apparently. Not antique people's wood, I hope, but who knows. Gave it a shake first. Antique oil is sort of a mix of tung oil and resin and stuff, so it's going to seal the wood. Just give it a nice shine surface finish. So I've done 3 coats of the tung oil, leaving them to dry. 24 hours and then coming out, doing another coat. Oh yeah, if that's going to stay like that, that should be pretty good. And the lessons learned part of this project. Project management is something that I do, but it's not actually my job title. If it was, I would be earning double the amount I do earn and wouldn't have people saying, oh, when you're on a lower income, because I'd be on the same as them. It's very annoying when people say that sort of thing. You think to yourself, oh, I think I'm doing okay, and then someone goes, well, when you're earning a lower income like you, and you just think, oh, great, nice one. Make you feel real and significant and pathetic. Anyway, lessons learned, part of any project. Sometimes for some people that's probably the biggest part of their project management documentation, but anyway, what would I do? I used a different filler. I'm not impressed. And yeah, I'm not one of these YouTubers who, even if it looks terrible, goes, I'm so happy with the way this worked out. No, I'm not that happy with the checkering being a contrasting colour. I thought it would tone in a bit better than that, and it hasn't. So yeah, if I do this again, maybe a future spoiler alert there, me saying if I do this again, who knows, what am I going to do with this stock? Will it even be this stock again? Who knows? Can you call this stock when it's no longer the standard finish? All these questions and more will never be answered because I really don't care. Anyway, if I did it again, I'd use a different fillet, and yeah, I'd have bought the proper checkering tools and got in there, fetched the finish off and redone it. or spoken to someone with a pyrography, bit of pyrography? With a you idiot. Never mind, I'll leave that one in. Someone with a pyrography kit and gotten them to put stippling on the stock there, a la HW98, because that would have looked a bit sexy. Anyway, never mind.
Thinking about it, Mrs. V's got a pyrography kit. I wonder, or is that a Pyromaniac's kit?
I like to give the stock a nice liberal coating of the oil. Because then at least you know it's soaking it in. Okay. Yep. Leave that at that for the moment.
Et voila! The finished result. And you may notice there's a gun sat in it as well. Yeah, don't get overexcited by that. Yep, I assembled it. Yep, I did, put it over the chronograph. And yep, it failed. So, this is going to be an epic series.